Iconic not only to anime fans and game fans, but also to veterans and rookies alike for his high power, his sleek design, and the candy apple red color with the power of the sun. It is KBT04 Arcbeetle, regraded. Coming with a kit of Hyperbeam, Power Rifle, Mega Gatling, Biped Legs, and the leg ability of G-Loader, which buffs the success of equipped parts relative to the metaforce he has charged in his gauge. Now, when it comes to high-end shooting power, without the headaches of such as, say, heavy parts or major drawbacks, Arcbeetle is honestly as good as they come with what he offers as with his incredible balance. Hyperbeam, and arguably the most iconic part on him, is an optic attribute attack, which gives him a ×2 damage bonus at 30% charge, and a ×3 bonus at 100% charge. And naturally, of course, he only gets one shot at such, with the inability to defend or to dodge or defend until he completes his heat phase. Right Arm Power Rifle is a stronger variant and a much more conventional shoot nuking skill that you really can't ever go wrong with. And simply put, it will give you a ×1.5 damage bonus when attacking, as long as Arcbeetle's legs are intact. This also applies to Mega Gatling, which is the same case for his other arm. The only difference with Mega Gatling is that it is a scattered AoE, meaning on top of the ×1.5 damage bonus that you'd get from Power Rifle, it will only damage one part at regular damage, and two others at random at 1/3 of your damage. The drawback, however, with Power Rifle is that you are also unable to dodge or defend until Arcbeetle completes his cooldown. Whereas with Mega Gatling, you're simply unable to dodge, but you can still guard and divert the damage to another part. With Biped Legs, Arcbeetle honestly has pretty solid coverage on most terrains, and in most other departments he's actually pretty well rounded across the board, as one you really can't ever go wrong with using. In addition, with the G-Loader ability, this honestly ties into his success very, very well, and at fully charged 100%, just as a reminder, success is not only your likelihood of landing attacks, but also your likelihood of landing critical hits. So a fully charged Arcbeetle in this case is absolutely a force to be reckoned with, as one who will almost never ever miss, and it'll honestly be a rare day when one of his attacks are not a critical hit, or very close to becoming one. With his tune-up treatment, he honestly really got spoiled by the tune-up system in this case, simply breaking down by part. For his head, he has the offer of a heat cool bonus of +200 and 150 respectively, success and power at +150 each, CG requirement at -20% charge requirement reduction to access the Hyperbeam damage bonuses, and then of course, last but not least, and arguably one of the best bonuses he can earn, an additional head use. Now, where Arcbeetle originally only has one use with prominence, now he has an access of two. And honestly, that plus the CG reduction requirement at -20% is arguably the best way to go about him, as heat and cool for something like this really isn't something that you need super heavily. And also, quite honestly, the success and power are something Arcbeetle really has no need for in those departments, be it from already the base stats that he already is packing with prominence at base, as well as the G-Loader ability if you use it right and fully charge him first before unleashing the prominence. The right arm and left arm bonuses are pretty much more or less the exact same in this case, at plus armor 500 for extra tanking skill, plus 100 to heat, up to 150 to power for the right arm and cool for the left, and then the passive skill of Damage Plus gives a +5 damage bonus if the legs are intact, but if Arcbeetle's legs are broken, which is normally one of the biggest weaknesses to Power Rifle and Mega Gatling, Arcbeetle is able to retain a +1.25 damage bonus. So that means even if his legs are broken, he is still able to hit just a little bit harder than just your conventional rifle without sacrificing too much power. For that reason, honestly, the Damage Plus bonus is probably the best possible bonus you could get, and absolutely should cap that for both arms if you do choose to go that route. For his right arm, you definitely want to capitalize on the high power that the Power Rifle is able to possess, as honestly, heat and armor are really something Arcbeetle has really no need for, in my personal opinion. And with the Mega Gatling on his left, the cooldown skill is definitely something he can absolutely benefit from. But in the case of Mega Gatling, he could probably benefit from the heat or the cool bonus relatively equally, depending on how you choose to build him. For his legs, and arguably some of the best bonuses that Arcbeetle has going for him, Shoot Resist +300, Evade +250, Mobility plus 200, G Loader gets an additional ×3 bonus to the success success upgrade on top of the ×7 that he already comes packed with. And then of course Terrain S rank added to Prairie. Now honestly, of these, it was honestly really difficult to try to figure out a very good build for Arcbeetle for his legs, but hands down, mobility is probably the absolute best upgrade that you can put on him, as one of Arcbeetle's biggest weaknesses primarily is the fact of his low mobility at about mid 600s at best, which is still really not where you want to be if you want Arc to keep up a competitive edge on the field without getting outrun. And then of course, with any extra remaining points that you have, the G Loader ability at even ×1 or ×2 for that additional bonus is something you really can't ever go wrong with, whereas the shoot resist and the evade, as tempting as they are, really aren't anything that are really things that you can honestly live without, in my personal opinion. And the S rank on Terrain, he's already got A rank on it. There really is no real reason to get that extra 10% of S rank, but ultimately it does kind of boil down to where you want to see him. Now for Arcbeetle's old pure set and mixed parts scores, I did originally grade him at a 7 out of 10 for his pure, for his incredible balance, even at the drawback of his one use of prominence and his very low mobility. Whereas his mixed parts original score was at 9 out of 10 for the incredible balance of the fact that Arcbeetle is very flexible for shoot nukers and can be fit pretty much just about anywhere. But thanks to the tune-up system and some moderate upgrades to Gatling-based skills since my original grading on him, his new pure set score with the tune-ups, I have to bump him up to an 8.5, as the tune-up system very easily accounts for a lot of the weaknesses Arcbeetle had that I originally graded against him for, such as the low mobility, the charge requirement for his prominence, and even just the fact of him having just the only one charge. So whereas if he missed, he lost it. As mixed parts score for whenever Arcbeetle comes around, thanks to these upgrades, I absolutely must grade Arcbeetle a 10 out of 10 and a must-have, because especially for conventional shoot nukers and something that you can't afford high power for, Arcbeetle is definitely someone you cannot and will not ever be sorry using. Whether you use him as a pure set for your dedicated shoot nuker, and you build him with, say, a hunter or sniper nature medal to cap on that metaphor sustain, so you can honestly use prominence as kind of a finisher blow, if anything. Or as mixed parts if you decide to mix up his head, arms, or legs with other parts, or scatter them about to make use of those extra bonuses that you can make use of, especially, say, the damage plus bonuses for his arms, the mobility bonus for his legs, or even the extra charge and charge reduction requirements for his head.